Hi, Stuart. I'm here with Stuart Walter, the commonly known as the athlete's secret weapon. How are you going, Stuart?
Mate, I am good. Thanks, Derek.
Excellent. Hey, really appreciate you taking the time out to have a chat to us today. I know that we've known each other for a couple of years now, and you're doing some amazing work with executives and business owners, world champions, elite athletes in and around that personal development and mindset space. And geez, we could all do with a mindset reset at the moment.
We'll learn how to run marathons.
Yeah. Well, I saw a video on YouTube, a guy running a marathon around his apartment one.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, that would have been make you dizzy. But mate, you've had your own sort of digital transformation challenges that you've had to deal with. So what I'd like to do with the time that we've got is if we can have a look a little bit about your background, what you've had to do as far as your digital transformation, and then obviously because of your expertise around mindset and personal development, I'd love for us to sort of dig into a little bit about that, about some tools and skills and things that people can take away to sort of manage the roller coaster that we're all on at the moment. So, mate, would you like to sort of dig into your background a little bit and give everyone a bit of an understanding of where you're from and what you do?
Yeah, based here in Brisbane, so I guess that's a good start. But I kind of fell into where I am at the moment through my martial arts experience. I was very inconsistent because I was traveling 2 weeks every month for business, and I was inconsistent within my sport, which is martial arts. I was doing state national titles in Taekwondo.
Yep.
I was very inconsistent there, and I was coming up to one of the state titles, and I was just talking to my mum and going, "Hey, look, this is what I'm going through," and the whole ups and downs is we're alluding to. And she goes, "Well, that's where I can help you." Background story: my mum's a naturopath and hypnotherapist, so I've gone, "Oh, this will be fun at best." So sat there for a couple of hours, and all of a sudden, everything just transformed for me. My brain was just so clear after that. So I used, I guess, hypnosis and the power of the mind to control and to help me managing emotions, therefore managing my outcomes within my sport. My results just shot up dramatically, and same, I integrated the same thing in the business.
Yep.
So when my sports career ended with a major injury, I got on to thinking, right, what can I do? How can I help myself to become better in business? And what can I do? And all of a sudden I've gone, hang on, sport, business, I know this works, I know hypnosis works, I know peak performance, I know what can be done. Let's put it all together and see what happens. And here I am now, 13 years later, and yeah, working 38 world champions. I've got entrepreneurs, I've got corporations I work with. I work with some of the greatest athletes and business people, business minds in the world to help them really focus on who they need to be to achieve the desired outcomes. And it's a very rewarding type of service that they offer.
Yeah. And I guess in that professional athlete space too, and we might touch on this a little bit later, there's obviously lots of emotional highs and lows. Athletes can quite often be in a situation where there's a triggering point that disrupts their plans, and they have to deal with those emotions and pivot and adjust, say a major injury, or I know, the athletes that you're dealing with right now, they've just been working for 4 years around a dead set hard goal of the Olympics this year. And now that's completely changed and they've got to reset and refocus. And I guess, in the business world, working in the B2B space myself, I know that lots of businesses have been disrupted, and your business, which we'll jump into in a second, have had to change from a face-to-face personal relationship, high touch environment into an isolated environment, a digital, 2D pane of glass environment. So can you tell us a little bit about, some of the transitions that you've had to face as far as with what you do is very personal, it's very engaging. How have you had to sort of deal with that transition?
Well, for me, it really hasn't been a huge transition. I guess to some extent, I started transitioning 10 years ago. within my business and starting off 13 years ago, I'm going, hang on, I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, a specialist peak performance mindset. Normally we're kind of face to face, so I can actually see my clients in front of me, get all the feedback, I can see what's happening emotionally, I can check their body language, I get that emotional feel as to where I need to go, and I get a certain, what I call my script from them. They're telling me exactly what they want to achieve, what the blockages are. So for me, it's been really distant because I had some great success within my clients, so much so that then started expanding into, I got clients in Sydney and Melbourne. I was hopping on the plane and flying down, and I'd only just come back from a trip down to Melbourne when another athlete phoned and said, "Oh, do you get down to Melbourne very often?" I said, "Oh, I was just down there. I haven't planned on coming back." He said, "Oh, well, I've been to see another practitioner and I hadn't really got the results I want. So I was hoping to work more with a sports focused practitioner." And at that point in time, I just go, well, hang on, let's give this face-to-face thing a bit of a miss. Let's see if we can go 2D on a screen to see what the results would be. And it was fascinating, the difference, because on a one-on-one situation, our senses are all engaged. You remove that element of closeness and energy and feedback, and it's like, I guess, like anyone who loses either their sight or the smell or taste or touch, the other senses seem to heighten. And for me, that was just brilliant. I had the ability to basically be able to not just read the words, but see the words and understand how everything was linking through people's mindset.
Yeah.
So to some extent at that point of time, that also was then the basis for which I built my online program. So I've got an 8-week online athlete secret weapon program. And I'm thinking, hang on, if I can get great results with a remote athlete compared to what they were getting with a face-to-face practitioner who wasn't sports focused, I've gone, hang on, I've got something different. Even though we're removed, we're really that close and engaged. And as I said to one of my clients the other day, and they said, "Oh, is it effective via Skype and via Zoom?" And I said, "Well, simply close your eyes. Does it sound like I'm in the room?" And it does. It actually sounds quite clear because a lot of people have got the earbuds in, therefore it's now stereo sound coming through.
Yeah.
So it's actually potentially for them a greater connection, but I just don't get that feedback that I do get elsewhere. So for me, I've looked at this from 10 years ago and I built and built and built. I've got clients around the world. I've got clients in Europe and the States that I've never actually met face to face.
Yeah.
So it's like me sitting here now talking to a 2D version.
Yeah. And with everybody transitioning to this digital engagement process all at once, whether you want to or not, it becomes very quickly adopted and adapted as the new norm.
Yeah.
You know, so sometimes the fear of the unknown, when you're actually thrown in the deep end and you go, "Oh, hang on, yeah, I sort of learned to swim a while back and I can actually manage this process," becomes less daunting and I guess more accepted, you know.
Yeah, for exactly. And it's unfortunate there's been so much fear out there with coronavirus and with anything these days. I did only a couple of weeks ago, I was up in the Gold Coast Convention Centre talking to a group of 800 people. We're talking about fears, and this hadn't even really been built. I used the example of a fear and just going, right, can you have a fear of sharks sitting in this room?
No, not
really. Can you have a fear of sharks standing on the beach? Well, not really, because they don't really come up. If you got one toe in the water, can you have a fear of sharks? Well, yeah, but the reality. But if you're up to your neck in water and there's one hanging off your leg, is that a fear?
It's a reality.
It's reality.
Yeah.
It's reality. So all fear, when you think about this, is created up in our heads. So somewhere between reality and where we are now, there's an element of fear. So fear is already begun, and it's unfortunate that there's a lot of hype and there's a lot of fear created through our leaders that are instilling this level of belief in us and this thing, but it's not to be taken as fear. If you look at it and go, is it happening? Yes, it's happening. Okay, so it's a reality. So fear is just the potential of achieving this and what would happen if. But like my business, and like we were saying earlier, I've kind of been forced into a situation where I can't deal face-to-face with clients. I'm choosing not to because of my health, their exposure, my family as well. So for me, there's this whole pivot thing and the whole transform. For me, it's not a pivot. It's basically, if you're already on track and you've got these various methods and means, you're not really pivoting. You're just adjusting and adapting and fine tuning.
Yeah.
Pivot seems like when you go to word where everyone's freaking out and going, oh, but
Yeah.
that's already in place.
Yeah. I guess in context, there are businesses that can go to digital far more easily than bricks and mortar businesses that rely purely on foot traffic. So, we're obviously drawing a distinction there, but the point you make's absolutely correct around, we can control our response to things that are happening around us, and rather than being fearful about it, how do we be reflective about it, and how do we manage risk, and then how do we respond?
Everything we do within my profession is what we call a trigger-based response. So if you see a red light, you've got a certain response when you're driving. That response is so automatic that in 1/3000th of a second, your brain has gone, that's what I need to do. It's already responded, it's already reacted, behaved. And within, say, for example, it's going to take you 10 seconds to actually stop a car. You've got 30,000 neural pathways that are firing that are so automatic in their response that it's almost impossible to stop and do anything different.
Yeah.
So that's what we call that trigger-based response. Now, the triggers are going to be the same, but we've got to look at a different way to respond.
Yeah.
That's going to be somehow beneficial.
So what are some of the things that people need to sort of take into account in this current environment where it's incredibly noisy? There's a lot of transition, a lot of adjustments. Things are changing rapidly for everybody. They're changing daily in a lot of respects. So what are some of the tools and things that people need to think about to keep them sort of selves grounded and focus on the things that they can control and keep moving forward?
Yeah, thanks for that. The one equation that I always have in my seminars and workshops is the fact that your existing results equal your potential minus your fear. So as fear is increasing, you're getting further and further away from your potential. If we can minimize the fear, we're all going to start stepping up to a new level and start having a clearer thought and clearer vision for what action to actually take. Now, when you think about this, imagine that the world now is like a two-dimensional image. Imagine that you are in this, almost like this protection bubble, because everyone's talking about the bubble and being in your own little world in this 1.5 meter distance and gap and variance. Now, imagine, as hard as it might be, imagine if you could just close your eyes and imagine this bubble around the outside of you, that all this negative emotion just bang, flies off or shatters or slides straight off. Therefore, when you think about this, who's in control? Who chooses your emotions? Who chooses your actions, your behaviors, your beliefs, your habits? You choose them. So therefore, why are you choosing to get frustrated? Why are you choosing to get angry? Okay, it is you choosing that. And then you go, right, okay, if this is happening, it's out of your control, let's bring it back to what is in control. Be in control, be in your little bubble and go, right, if I had a choice on how I could react or respond to this, how do I want to be? Right, okay, well, if you are in control, smile, relax, trust.
Yeah.
Get into this. So therefore, the negative, it's not going to impact you. Okay, if everyone could just take 10, 15 minutes just to shut their eyes, just imagine all these negatives bouncing off. So it's almost like you get to the point where you can watch TV. You're aware of everything that's going on, you understand everything that's going on, but you're just not emotionally absorbing it.
Yeah.
And that's what I find is, I won't say I kind of feel a little heartless, but I'm looking at all this playing out and going, at the moment, it's not affecting me, it's not affecting my family, it's not affecting anyone I know. Therefore, why am I taking this on board? I'm choosing to be the person I need to be. And look, to be honest, there's so many interviews and podcasts and everything that I'm doing and webinars to help people to understand that. So I can't be caught up in this fear because it's the energy I'm putting out there. So for me, I'm in my own little world, I'm in my little bubble, I'm absorbing emotions, but if I'm only absorbing positive, I can only give positive.
Yeah.
It's a simple process. So for me, I'm just, and someone had a go at me the other day and said, you shouldn't be smiling, you shouldn't be that happy. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. We have a lot more choice and control than we sometimes realise. And your point's really well made around making the choice to respond rather than react and choosing your response. I know, in our office environment, our traditional Friday approach is everybody's hectic. We've had a busy week running around. Everybody's crazy and running in different directions. So we typically don't set aside time to bond as a team. Yet now, because we're all working remotely, we actually have a designated time blocked out in the diary on a Friday afternoon where we all get together. We're all relaxed, chilled. There's no work. It's, drink your water, tea, your beer, whatever it is. And we just sit around as a team, just chat and clown around for an hour. And so
I do that with my team as well.
Yeah. team of two. But I guess the point is we can choose to respond a little bit differently. Like, tonight we've got a dinner party set up where we've got extended family and elderly grandparents coming to dinner via Facebook. We set the use the technology wisely. We set the iPad up on the end of the table, all dial in on FaceTime, and then we're collectively having dinner together. You can create novel experiences out of some of the challenges that we currently.
And that's the thing. It's actually this isolation is bringing so many more people together. It's an incredible connection that I'm noticing. But it's also, we have to be very aware of these emotions that are still flowing through. There's a lot of stuff that's still going on. So there's still a lot of acceptance of everything that's happening and acceptance of all of how you're feeling, the emotions, the responses. So the responses are all very relevant based on the past and who you used to be. Remember, we've got this big shift going on.
Yeah.
So, that's an interesting response. Is that relevant to, it's probably relevant to protection, because their unconscious mind's only got one job, and that's to protect you from potential hurt or potential harm, physically and emotionally. So all it knows is protecting you from the past. But this space we're in at the moment, it hasn't happened before. So therefore it's all new. So we've got to look at what we can actually do to go, right, is that reaction a response based on past, or is it based on me moving forward? If it's based on me moving forward, let's make a decision to go, right, hop in my bubble. If I could choose how to react and respond to that, how would I be?
Yeah, look, and that's a really interesting observation, because, when people have got clarity, they've got a plan, they're motivated to take action, and they're actually in motion, things don't seem as challenging. And obviously, the whole process that everyone's going through now is a transformational process. So do you have any sort of handy takeaways or observations or tips or tools that you'd like to pass on to everyone that's listening?
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of, sharing my ebook. I've got a published book called The Dear Diary Process. And happy to share it with everyone. It's the free ebook version of it. I know not everyone's a huge fan of ebooks, but this is a process where you can actually help rewire your brain. So the Dear Diary Process, if you consider the typical journaling and gratitude diaries, forget that totally. This is using your diary and writing tonight how tomorrow was in advance. So what you're actually doing is, instead of recalling all the stuff you went through today, because that's now the past, it's already happened. So why not write, bang, this is who I am today. So tonight, write how tomorrow was. So how did you sleep? How did you wake up? What did you feel? What did you do tomorrow? How did it feel? What was the end result? So when you can write down in advance how your day was tomorrow, as you're heading off to sleep, your brain will actually start processing forward rather than going back in the past. Therefore, you're going to sleep better because you're now in control of what you can control, and we're heading this way into the future. So when you go to sleep, your brain, if it's sleeping 7 hours a night, it's visualizing for 7 hours. 7 hours or 1 hour of visualization is like 7 hours of physical exertion. So if you're visualizing for an hour while you're sleeping, it's like 79 hours of visualizing how tomorrow went. So how did it feel? What was the end result? What did you do? Did you have a meeting? What was the outcome of this? How did you connect to people? So I did my diary last night, knowing exactly how my clients today were going to go, and they were. So neuroplasticity, if anyone's heard about neuroplasticity, it's all about how the brain can rewire itself according to intention and emotions. So what we're doing is, the intention is, right, this is how my day was. This is how the meeting was. This is how I communicated. This is how I reacted to my partner and the kids.
Yep.
Apply an emotion to it, and all of a sudden your brain starts wiring and working its way towards it. This is a transformational process. And look, when you get emails and testimonials from around the world saying, you have given me a process, I've got out of a toxic relationship, I've lost 30 kilos, I've got out of a bad job, I'm into a new job, I've got a new partner, I'm loving life, and I've lost all that weight. All this happens because of that single process. So happy to share it with everyone. And look, when you get it, please share it amongst your community as well, because this, for that lady, it was a life-saving process.
Yeah.
I didn't actually know it. She was in a very violent relationship. So I saved her life on the other side of the world. She was in London.
Yeah.
So even if you think, right, this may not be for me, there's probably people out there that could deal with a lot of emotional stuff at the moment, who need some emotional protection, who need to take some level of control in their life, because at the moment everything is out of control and all you can control is your response to it. So this is a perfect way.
Yeah, so 100% agree. If you've got a great framework that you can work to and deliver consistently, then you don't feel so much that you're being buffeted from pillar to post with everything else that's going on around you. So so if anyone would like to get hold of those resources, the Dear Diary tools, or connect with you, what's the best way to reach out, Stuart?
Yeah, connecting with me, probably the best is through elitemindsetinstitute.com. So that's Elite Mindset Institute. If you're looking for the diary, the free Dear Diary process download, go to the Stuart Walter Facebook page. You'll find it there. There'll be a photo of me. And one or two posts down, you'll actually see the free diary process, the information there. Just click on the link underneath, name, first name, and that'll automatically be sent out to you as an ebook as in the process.
Excellent. Thanks, Stuart. So I'll make sure that we put those links in the description box above or below this video, depending on what platform you're watching it on. And mate, really appreciate your insights, really appreciate your time, very grateful for it. And
welcome, Derek.
Thank you. My daughters have really benefited from the work that you do, mate. So greatly appreciated.
Mate, you're welcome. No problem at all. Take care.
Cheers, buddy. Bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.